Then I started to watch. I was watching this podcast, completely unrelated, because like I said, I wanted a break from the prophetic words because I was confused. Completely unrelated. I think they were talking about marriage or something. They were talking about their relationship, and she was like, "Yeah, I moved to Illinois to be with my husband because I'm originally from Dallas." She was like, "I'm originally from Texas," and I was like, "This girl say Dallas." I was like, "This girl say Dallas. I'm gonna throw something." And she was like, "Yeah, Dallas Fort Worth, or well, the Arlington area, which is still Dallas." So I'm like, "All right, y'all." And then you ever like watch something and you'll hear like words that may not mean something to somebody else, but it stands out to you. Like that's what happened. They were talking about something, and he said something about a smooth transition, and it stood out to me, and I just felt like it was God saying like, "This is where I want you to go," because that's what I was thinking the whole time I was watching. I was like, "I'm gonna go," but I was thinking about all the obstacles in my way. And then he said smooth transition, and it stood out to me. So I felt like it was God saying like, "It's gonna be a smooth transition. Like you're gonna be all right." And then after that, I kept hearing the words smooth transition. I kept hearing that everywhere because I started watching like videos of people moving to Dallas just to kind of see what I'd be up against and things like that. And everybody kept saying, "Yeah, it was an easy process. It was like a smooth transition. It was a smooth process." Everybody was saying that. So I'm like, okay, that's God. That's another confirmation. And that's just, you know, a better example as to when I say God is telling me this is the type of things I mean. Like he'll give me confirmation through things, and I know he knows what's gonna get my attention, and that's how I hear from him. Um, so then it was then during my fast, this was like even before. Oh Lord, it's so much. This was before this whole process. This is before, maybe like a month after I quit. I remember doing another fast before that because I was trying to figure out. This was right when I quit my job because I was trying to figure out if it was really time for me to move or not. And I remember I was watching this praise and worship session. This was the first thing in the morning, the first day of my fast, and what I wanted from my fast was clarity on if I was supposed to move or not. And the guy was singing, and the song was talking about. It's time to go now. I can't stay. I have to leave. Like I forgot what the actual song was, but those were the lyrics. I'm like, okay, God. This man turns around. He had on a jean jacket. Why on the back of his jacket it said "move"? I can't make this stuff. I can't make it up even if I tried. So it's like God really had been giving me confirmation, and I kept ignoring it, and I kept saying, no, that ain't God. No, it's in my head. And by this time, he was just like, girl, are you gonna go or not? Because it's your last chance. Like, I've let you know, I've confirmed it. I ain't saying nothing else. You already know. Like, are you gonna do it? So at that point, I knew I had to do it. And again, I got very emotional, but it was like not sadness, it was like peace. So I knew, again, okay, that's God. Just let me know. So by then, I had made up my mind. And the next thing was, how am I gonna get out of my lease? Because that way back when I said that I had planned on moving like around COVID, I did a 6-month lease because I knew, okay, I want to leave soon. But then after that, when COVID started, I did another year lease because I'm like, I probably won't be moving no time soon. And I had already said like, I'm just gonna stay in South Carolina, I'm gonna buy a house. And I just really had got comfortable. I really didn't want to pack. I really didn't want to deal with the whole process. I was comfortable where I was at. So my lease wasn't up until October of next year. And it's funny because I was supposed to do, I went in August to renew my lease. And I was supposed to do 6 months. I remember saying, I'm gonna do another 6 months. But then when I got to the office, I ended up just saying 12 months anyway. But it wasn't sitting right in my spirit. But I was like, I'll just do the 12. And then I remember her saying, do you want to do 2 more months? You can do a 16-month lease and it's the same price. And I hesitated and I was like, yeah, I'll just do it. But it still did not feel right. I remember getting back to the car and I was just like, I should have did that 6-month lease. But I just didn't feel like switching the paperwork and stuff, so I let it slide. And that played right back in my mind when I was asking, like, how am I gonna get out this lease? Because back then, I knew I wasn't supposed to sign that lease for that long. So I was just like, Lord, that's my next obstacle. Like, I'll leave right now, but I can't break my lease. That's gonna mess up my credit. That's gonna mess up, me getting a new apartment. And not to mention, I'm gonna be responsible for the rest of that lease. So I'm gonna need you to make something shake if you want me to go. So I remember, and to be honest, that's really what was holding me back. And that was what was making me feel like he was telling me to wait. Because I was like, God wouldn't want me to, like, mess up my credit or, break a lease. Like, that just seems out of order. So it made me feel like, well, maybe he's telling me I'm supposed to move, but just not right now. And that's really what it was. I knew I was supposed to move, but I thought it was going to be when my lease was up. But, no. So I remember praying to him, and I'm like, all right, okay, I'm gonna have to wrap this up. It's so many details that I'll be here all day. But the gist of it is that I ended up telling my apartment complex, hey, I'm moving. And I just sucked it up. I was like, whatever it is gonna be, I had to pray about it. I'm like, Lord, go before me. If this is your will, then you'll get me out of it. So I remember sending the email, letting them know I wanted to break my lease. And I just started packing. They didn't even like respond or nothing, but I knew like I'm gonna just start getting the process rolling. Cause that's what I was supposed to do too. The instruction was to pack my stuff. No, to quit my job and pack my stuff. Even though you don't know where you're going yet, cause I didn't know. But at least I was supposed to get my stuff together to be in preparation. But I didn't really want to pack, so I was really just like, I ain't supposed to go nowhere. So I started packing for real this time. I sent them an email. And I got no response for like a couple of days. And I remember I kept checking and I was anxious because I'm like, are they gonna let me out my lease or not? And of course you start Googling stuff and you start hearing, oh, they'll sue you, you'll be responsible for the rest of the lease. And I'm like, I don't have money for that. Plus for me to live out in Dallas. So I kept packing though, and I kept praying on it. And I was like, God, you're gonna make a way to get me out of this lease. And I remember they still didn't respond back to me. So I had to actually go up to the office and let them know. And she was like, oh, you sent it to the assistant manager and she's been out on leave, so she probably didn't get it. So good thing I came in there. So basically I had like a sob story planned out. Not really a sob story, but I was like really trying to sell it. And I went in there and I was sad. She was like, are you okay? And I was like, well, I'm okay. I'm doing okay, the best I can. She was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I'm just going through some financial issues right now, whatever. That's why I'm wanting to break my lease. And she's like, okay. So she pulled it up and she's like, well, your lease not, up until October. When did you do she was like, did you do a 60-day notice? And I didn't. I did 30 days because I thought that was enough. And she was like, well, yeah, you have to do a 60-day notice, but we'll backdate it to the date you originally sent the email. And you'll be responsible for those 2 months rent. And I was like, and she was like, is that something that you'll be able to do? And I was like, well, I really want to move out as soon as possible because I really don't want to be paying rent on a place I ain't gonna be staying at. And basically she was like, well, you're gonna be paying rent anyway because you need to do the 60-day notice. However, what she was saying is that I only had to pay enough rent for those 2 months and not for the whole lease. So that was a weight lifted because I'm like, okay, well, I could do 2 months, Of course, I'd rather not pay nothing, but weighing that against paying a whole lease, being responsible for that, I'm like, all right, I'll take it. And then she's like, would you be able, no, I think I asked her, I was like, would I be able to do a payment plan? Because I think before that she asked if there was something I was able to do, like, could I pay it all at once? So that made me ask, like, well, is it possible for me to do a payment plan or something? And she was like, yeah, you could do that. So I'm like, okay, bet, I can do that. Just enough to get me out. I just need to get there. So she didn't give me a hard time or nothing. It was like so easy, and I had made it so much more difficult in my mind. It was smooth. She was just like, okay, we'll get your paperwork ready and we'll start, I had my walkthrough date. I let them know the date I wanted to move out, which was like 30 days after that, which was in March. And she was just like, okay, we'll do the walkthrough and then that'll be it. And then we'll need your address to where you're going, and that's that. So after that happened, I was just like, okay, God coming through. So I must be on the right track. And it was so much. And then right after that, I checked my mail and I had got my car taxes. And my car taxes was about like 5 something. And I remember just getting sad all over again. Because I'm like, Lord, I don't need to be spending no more money. Because like at this point, like I said, I got savings, but it wasn't really what I needed. I don't want to disclose my information, but I didn't have enough in my savings to be moving out here. I really didn't. When I say I'm standing on God's word, and I gotta trust him, because I don't have enough. I really don't. Like, I got enough to survive while I'm here. I got enough to survive for the rest of the month, and I'll be good for next month. But after that, I'm just being real. After next month, something's gonna have to shake. For real. But at the same time, I feel like there's plenty of time for me to find a job, at least. So I feel like I'm gonna be all right. And one thing about God and with me, He always waits till I get down to my last. And I think the only reason I'm uncomfortable is because I've gotten so used to having, like, so much money in my account to where I don't have to, like, He had blessed me to the point where I could pay bills, go shopping, all of that, and never really have to worry about running out of money because it was just always there. So now I'm in a space where I really have to constantly check my account and see what's what, and as it dwindles down, I just get nervous. So really, I do have savings, but it's a mind thing that I know, like, I don't have anything else coming in. So that's what's scary, but, you know, I gotta just trust that there's more where that came from. And like I said, I've gone through this before. I always go through these seasons in life where I'll be doing good financially, or I have my life in order, and then I'll completely lose everything and I'll have to go back. And then I keep getting restored. Like, before I got this job that I quit, I got evicted from my apartment and I had to live with my mom. And I was sleeping on the couch because I didn't have they didn't have any space for me at the time. And then I got that job out of the blue. And I was able to move out within like 2 months, and everything, you know, was restored to me. And like I said, I was making more money, so I was in a better position than I was when I left. And that's always what He does. So I'm just trusting that this time He's taking me out. He is stripping me away from everything. He's teaching me dependence on Him. He's teaching me how to receive help from other people. And He's reminding me what it's like to be uncomfortable, and reminding me what it's like to not have everything together, like to not be in control, and to really trust Him. That's really what it is. So I just got to lean into that and trust that I'm gonna be okay. He did it before, He's gonna do it again. But I'd be lying if I said I'm just, you know, chilling. You know, I have my moments. However, it's something about, like, the leading up to me leaving, I was very, like, on edge. Kind of back and forth, like excited, but then just scared, because I'm like, what am I gonna do? Even with the living situation, I didn't find an Airbnb until like a couple of days before I was supposed to move. And I didn't tell nobody. I kept just saying, oh, I'm gonna get an Airbnb for a month till I find a place. But I didn't have no Airbnb. But I just kept saying it because I'm like, I'm going regardless. I've already put in my I've already quit my job. I already told my leasing office I'm going. So if I got to go out there and stay in a hotel till I find something, that's what I'm gonna do. But luckily, I ended up finding an Airbnb for real. So hey, I'm just keep speaking things. It's gonna fall into place. Then I didn't know what I was gonna do with my furniture. I knew I wasn't gonna take it with me, and I was like, you know, how am I gonna move it? You know, how am I gonna get this stuff out? And I was like, well, I guess I'll call Salvation Army, have them come pick it up. The day I ended up telling my mom I was leaving, come and find out my aunt was moving into a new apartment and she needed furniture. So my granddad ended up buying a U-Haul, and then my stepdad and my uncle and my brother came to move all of my stuff and take it to her house. So I didn't even have to move nothing. I didn't have to pay for no truck, and I didn't have to worry about dealing with it. So only thing I really had to pack up was my clothes. Everything else was like taken care of. It was like so smooth. And again, that's what you have to think about. Like, sometimes when you give up stuff, it's because God wants you to be a blessing to somebody else. So that was another confirmation for me, like, okay, everything is lining up, smooth transition. So I finally leave. No, after that happened, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go now. So I'm like, I planned on leaving the day that they had the Texas snowstorm. It was like, as soon as I told everybody I was leaving, the snowstorm happened. And I was like, that threw a curveball, because I was like, so are you saying I ain't supposed to go? So then I went back and forth again, like, dang, am I supposed to leave? Is this a sign? Then I was getting myself worked up, because I would check the news every day, and they was talking about how the water, it was going to take a while for that to be restored, and people was going to have to boil their water, and things were destroyed and all that other stuff. So I'm like, it's probably going to be a long time before that's back to normal. I'm not going to be able to go now. I have to be out my apartment by the 10th of March, and I don't have nowhere to go. So I started panicking again. And then, like, when I moved out, my brother was like, well, if you, because at that point they were kind of like, well, when are you leaving now? And I'm like, it's kind of in the air because it depends on what happens with the storm. So my brother, he was like, well, if you need a place to stay until then, or until you figure things out, like, you can stay with me. So I mean, that took a weight off too. So I'm like, okay, I have space. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was a sign too. I was like, well, maybe, cause you know my original plan was to save up money and move in with the family member. So I'm like, maybe God does want me to just kind of just relax and kind of remove, and maybe, you know, I was considering it. I was like, maybe I'll just stay with my brother and just kind of figure something else out. And then it just finally where I was just like, no, you're gonna go. Stop with the back and forth, just go. So I finally did it, and it was just something that clicked in my mind one night. Like, everything that you worry about is pointless because it always ends up working out. It's never as bad as you imagine it to be. And I know you hear that all the time, but it's different when it clicks for you. It had finally clicked for me. Like, you worry for no reason. Nothing ever turns out as bad as you think. You're the reason why you've been stressed all these months, not knowing what to do, because you've been confusing yourself. God been made everything clear. And if I would have moved when he told me to move, I would have had a lot more savings, probably would have had a job by now, probably would have had an apartment, but I prolonged it, you know? So once that finally clicked, since that point, that might have been like, maybe it was a month ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago. Since then, I haven't been anxious at all. Like, I've been at peace. Like, I have my moments where I freak out. And not to mention, you know, I wasn't even thinking, like, I got to get my car looked at before I drive from South Carolina to Texas. So then I'm like, oh, that's another expense. But even that, I remember, because my dad was like, you might want to get some new tires too. I was like, listen, I ain't got it, okay? I can get a little tune up, I can get a little oil change, but I ain't got it for the tires. I just don't. And but I remember him saying, like, well, you might, if anything, that's what you need to do. So then I'm like, I might have to buy tires. That's going to put me back even more. But I'm like, well, I got to do what I got to do. If I got to spend it, I just got to trust that the money going to come back to me. And I went there, and I remember praying. I was like, Lord, please don't let them need too much, because they end up doing a full inspection. So I get the oil change, and I said I wanted them to rotate my tires and put air in it. And she was like, oh, so you want to do the special? I'm like, well, what's the special? What special y'all got? They had a special, y'all, for like an oil change, full inspection, tire rotation, and alignment. No, it wasn't the alignment, but it was the full inspection and the oil change and all of that. And it was something, and I think it was a tune-up and like topping fluids and all that for like $26 or something. So I'm like, sign me up. And then she was like, your oil is kind of high too, so I'm gonna just give you a little discount for that and just bring your price down cheaper. I was like, okay, God, I see you. Again, smooth transition. So then I leave, but I'm like, hopefully they don't say that I need new tires. Because you know how you'll leave and then they end up calling you like, oh, we noticed that you need such and such and such and such. And I'm like, even if they suggest something, let it not be nothing that's necessary. Because I wasn't trying to spend no more money. So I remember him calling me, and he was like, the only thing you really need, he was like, everything looks great, but I would suggest you get an alignment and do the lifetime warranty. You know how they try to upsell you or whatever. But you know, it still wasn't that bad. So I ended up doing it. I was like, I'll take it. It's better than me needing new tires. And I need my tires aligned. So like, let me just get everything I need and not try to be cheap, because I don't want to be playing with my safety. So I get everything with my car, and then this whole process, I was avoiding checking my bank account because I knew that if I watched my bank account, I would get scared and I would talk myself out of it. So I would rarely check my account. But I think I checked after, well, no, I checked before I got my car fixed, because I was like, do I even have enough? And I had enough, but like I said, it was pushing it. But after that, I was just like, all right, no more anxiety. Like, we in it now. I'm leaving. So the plan was I was gonna stay with him Sunday, but I couldn't check into my Airbnb on Wednesday. So I was like, even if I stay with him and then go to Dallas, I'll still have to get a hotel when I get there, because I can't check in until Wednesday. So I remember calling him, and he was like, I was telling him the process, and he was like, my grandma wanted us to stay with her because she wanted to see me. So then he was like, well, you know, do you really want to drive the whole way? If you want to stop midway, like I'll pay for you to get a hotel room, and then you won't have to drive so far. So that was perfect because I'm like, not only do I not have to pay for a hotel room, but I don't have to drive full distance. Like I don't have to come out of my pocket at all. Like I already spent the money for the Airbnb. I don't have to buy nothing else. So that worked out. Money that didn't have to come from my pocket. So I'm like, all right, cool. Then I got to my grandma's house and just ended up staying the whole way because the drive really wasn't that bad. Even the drive, like I talked myself up with that because I was like, I don't want to drive to Texas. Like I don't even like riding in the car for a long time. I don't even like driving to Atlanta. That's 3 hours away. And so, and when I see my dad in Alabama, I fly. So I was really like, even though I had moved everything out, that worked itself out. But then I was like, nah, I still got to drive. But the drive wasn't even bad. Even the drive was smooth. Like everything was smooth. The weather was perfect. Traffic wasn't bad. Like everything was good. And I remember like leaving, when I left my mom's house and it finally hit me that I was leaving, I started crying. Cause I'm like, I'm really about to do this. You know, it's like for the first time, I always joke, I'll be like, I don't feel like an adult. I feel like I'm still a child. When I left, I felt like an adult. I was like, oh, you grown now. But it's still, after that, maybe like 20 minutes, I was a little sad, but then I started to get excited and just hopeful. But yeah, I made it to my dad's house. That wasn't an issue. I stayed at my grandma's house, and then I made it to Texas. That was like 14 hours from there, and I drove it straight through. I didn't even really stop. I stopped to get me something to eat, but I ate and I kept going. Like I did it. I don't know how I made it. God was in the driver's seat himself. Cause it ain't no way. So it really was a smooth transition. I got here at the Airbnb. That traffic, it was bad, but even that, I hyped that up too. Cause I'm like, oh, the traffic gonna be bad when I get to Dallas. And it was like right at 5 o'clock, so I knew it was like, you know, like people getting off work. But even then, it still wasn't horrible. And I made it. You know what I'm saying? The neighborhood ended up being really nice. The host was nice. She has 2 sons, so her sons took all of my belongings from the car and brought them into the Airbnb within like 5 minutes. So I didn't even have to worry about going back and forth to the car. So it was good. It really was a smooth transition, just like God said it was gonna be. And I know I still got a lot up ahead of me, but at least I'm here now. And now that I'm here, well, no, that first night I panicked a little bit. Not really a panic, but I remember like I went back out to go to the store and I was still anxious about the traffic and stuff. And then I was like, girl, what are you doing out here? And then I was like, you really don't have no friends. You don't know anybody. So panic kind of crept in, but I was just like, girl, calm down. You here now. We out here. So you just gotta move forward, and you just gonna have to lean into the discomfort. So that's where we're at now. My money, like I said, I got enough. My Airbnb is until April 9th, so I'm good for a month. I already bought groceries, so I'm good with that. So I really don't have any more expenses until then, and I still got, you know, some money in my savings. Like I said, I'm still penny pinching, but I can make it stretch until I find something. I'm praying I find something soon. Everybody was always saying how it's easy to find a job in Dallas, so we gonna see. But I don't have nothing yet, and I'm looking at apartments, but to be honest, I can't afford one. I'm just looking, hoping that God will make a way, some kind of out of something, make a way out of no way. Or maybe I'll get a job position, and then at least I'll know exactly where I want to move. Because I really would like to move into an apartment by the time this Airbnb is up. But we'll see. But even if I didn't find a job, and even if I didn't find a place, I still have enough for shelter. And I still have enough to buy food. So either way, I'm straight for another month. So that gives me more comfort that I'm not. Child, they got dogs, so you still hear people. Y'all, I ain't tell y'all that Bam died. So Bam is not with me. He died like 3 weeks before I left. So yeah, he's not with me. That's a whole other video. But yeah, they have dogs, so you probably still gonna hear barking every now and then. But yeah, I'm here and I'm just trusting God, and I've started vlogging. That's gonna be my new thing. Because I need to document this child. Y'all need to see it. You know, a lot of people record after the fact, after they've made it, but I'm gonna record while I'm in the struggle, while I'm in the trenches. So y'all can see how God works, and y'all can see how I'm stripped with nothing, basically, and I'm starting over, and I'm gonna make it right back to where I was, and it's gonna be even better, and y'all get to watch. So that'll be up soon. And you know, I just want to say, anybody who's stuck or anybody who's contemplating, you know, starting over, even if you don't want to relocate, if you want to quit your job, or if you just want a new direction, you're not stuck. It's in your mind. You can do it, and you can leave. So, you know, let this be motivation. But yeah, I'll keep y'all posted. Thanks for watching. If you made it through, thank you.